Anime within itself is a very broad and unique medium. There are many genres and different demographics ranging from romance slice of life to seinen series. Many western shows are very much the same, but there is a certain thing that sets anime apart from other forms of entertainment, and that would be the fact that anime most of the time is not the original source material. What do I mean by that? I mean that anime is mainly derived from different mediums and turned into animation. Unlike western shows where an original script is written by the producers of that said series, anime on the other hand, aside from originals, is taken from a completely different form of entertainment and made into life through animation like I previously mentioned. The original source material does usually tend to be manga, something which I'm sure you are already aware of, but sometimes an anime is made from something else, examples being Re:Zero, Classroom of the Elite, and Konosuba, which are all adapted from light novels, and sometimes, on an even rarer occasion, an anime is made from a very intricate and interesting medium. I mean visual novels. Lately, as I have been trying out many more series in a hope of trying to expand my taste, which I still am engaged in, reading many more novels and watching long-running shonen, I also thought as to why not try out the most unpopular medium that is made into an anime, visual novels. And in today's video, I will go over my experience with the medium, talking about all the games I have played myself, and finally telling you why you should try out the very interesting medium of visual novels. I hope you enjoy. Let me first start off the background section of this video by answering the question as to what exactly is a visual novel. Visual novels are quite literally visual novels. They're games that consist of a story that needs to be played out as well as completed. Most are dialogue heavy, but there are some that lean more towards the video game side of things like Danganronpa, which requires you to beat other characters in the story through the skill you've acquired, or the Fate visual novel, which may lean a little bit more towards the RPG side of things, where you choose which hentai route you want to which story route you want to play. In a sense, there are video games which rely on dialogue and character interactions to keep the story moving, but aren't strangers to action. At first, visual novels weren't really that appealing to me aside from Fate. I just didn't get the idea and gist of it, putting in hours on end of game time which mainly tended to be reading through character monologues just didn't sound interesting to me. Manga has great drawings, action and paneling, and light novels, which also consists of lots of dialogue, makes up for it with their relatively short lengths and occasional use of pictures. I was fine with that, but with what visual novels had, it just didn't catch my interest. My previous thoughts and impressions on visual novels, which many of you may have been able to pick up upon, is full of contradictions and ignorance. Although visual novels are dialogue heavy and most of the time are lacking in action, they did have images, and contrary to anime and manga, those pictures were colored and very much frequently appeared. Unlike manga and light novels, visual novels also had their very own soundtrack to set the mood of things. So when playing a visual novel, I didn't need to worry about opening Spotify and searching for an OST that suited the exact atmosphere of the scene, because the creators of visual novels had already thought that through and had it covered by producing their very own soundtracks filled with wonderful, entrancing background songs that made the experience much better. To be honest, if visual novels never had any music and I would just be there sitting in my room in the middle of the night playing a PowerPoint without any music and or sound, I'd drop that immediately and never think twice of picking it back up again. After a while, like many other times, I had experienced a moment brimming with motivation where I wanted to try something new, and immediately I decided to download the Fate visual novel as it was the one I wanted to try out the most. And while after that I played a bit of it, time passed, and I just continued to keep on downloading, trying out, and playing many more visual novels. I'm not as immersed in the medium as I am with anime, manga, and light novels, but I sure as hell have enjoyed the few that I have played. So why not talk about the ones I've experienced myself and share my thoughts on them? The Fate visual novel and Steins are probably the two games that I've played the least hours of, so I thought it'd be better if I combined both their sections together and talk about them at the same time instead of giving them both two small sections. The Fate visual novel to me was alright. Nothing too crazy, but nothing bad at all in the slightest. Anyone who knows me knows that I am a huge fan of the Fate series anime. It is one of my personal favorites for a reason, with the stellar story, amazing cast of characters, great portrayal of the notion of ideals, and amazing themes that are tackled, such as Kiritsugu's utilitarian tragedy. And of course, the jaw-dropping animation that only a few series can match up to, let alone surpass. The original source material of the series, the visual novel explores the world of mages and the world of fate to a much greater extent than the anime ever did. A lot more things are emphasized on than they were in the anime, and characters are given more monologues that explore them a bit more throughoutly. The god tier animation is of course gone, but I really don't mind. So far the games have been a pleasant experience, and I am excited to see more depth to Rin, Shiro, and Saber's character, which I hope will make them even better than they were before. Speaking of the Fate visual novel, did you know that the Fate visual novel also has an original source material with the same name but with a different story and events that take place? Well, if you didn't know, don't worry, I'll tell you all about it. The original novel is a hentai and it has a really big threesome. Oh, wait. I forgot about YouTube censorship rules. Sorry, just forget everything I said about the original Fate. It doesn't exist to you. I wasn't really a huge fan of the Steins Gate anime, mainly because I watched it over a longer period of time than I should have, which ended up with me not liking it nearly as much as I thought I would. But instead of giving up on the series or rewatching it, I decided I'd try the games out, and I'm really liking it at the moment. The art style is my favorite out of all the visual novels I've played so far, and the choice of music is really good. I do hope I continue to enjoy it, and hopefully I'll like it more than the anime. Sadly, the Steins Gate game unfortunately does not have an original visual novel like the Fate series does though. The first ever visual novel that I ever got fully invested into was Danganronpa. I really loved playing it so much that I even streamed it right here on the channel a couple of times before, and to those who watch my streams, don't worry, they'll come back soon enough. Danganronpa is centered around Makoto Nagai, nicknamed the Ultimate Lucky Student, as he was able to get into Hope's Peak Academy, a school for only the elite students, because he was lucky enough to win a raffle that got him into the school. But little did he know that the School of Hope's Peak Academy was unlike any other. Shortly after arriving at the school, he soon found out that he was stuck there and the only way to graduate and leave for the outside world is to murder one of his fellow classmates without getting caught. Danganronpa is an amazing game. It is one that hosts an amazing story full of many twists and turns, filled with an astonishing cast of characters. Although the first trial was easy enough to solve and figure out in a quick amount of time, I heard each trial after that gets much better and becomes very hard to solve. My favorite part of the game so far is definitely the characters. The characters have very distinguished personalities coupled with really great designs. The entire nature of Danganronpa's premise and the story makes every character all the more interesting, as they could be the murderers themselves concealing their true feelings, and that is something that really sticks out to me. Another thing I really liked about the games was that unlike other visual novels I had played, in Danganronpa I had much more freedom. There was just something about being able to move around freely and not sitting through large chunks of text the whole time that stuck out to me. I really liked the investigation part of the game where you had to go and find clues around the school's campus, as well as interact with other characters, getting information and hints of the murderer from their dialogue, all in the attempt to solve the mystery of who killed who. I really found that part of the games to be really cool to play out, and the fact that in the trials you had to use more of your acquired skills to solve the case instead of letting the story play out was something great and really intriguing to me, as it presented more of a challenge that made the game far more enjoyable than I had originally thought it would be. The Danganronpa games have been great so far and something I really enjoy to play. The art style is great, the soundtrack is amazing, the story and characters are very lovable, and the way the game is presented is wonderful. What more could you ask for in a game? I am very excited for the next few trials and the challenges they may bring. And maybe, just maybe, I'll stream them again on the channel. Aside from Danganronpa, there is a visual novel that I really love, and probably one that is really popular in the anime community as of this moment, and that is The House in Fata Morgana. Alright, I'm sorry, I just really had to make that joke. The House in Fata Morgana has been getting a huge amount of hype in the Instagram anime community before I left the app. Everywhere I went, I saw it rated extremely highly, and for a visual novel, I never expected it to get this much reception. This of course would pique anyone's interest, and with me wanting to expand my taste, trying out newer things, I thought as to why not give it a try, and really, Fata Morgana so far has been nothing but brilliant. The story opens in a mansion with the main character missing his memory and not a single image of him being shown to us. In order to regain your memories, you must travel back in time with a maid that works at the mansion and learn the tragic stories of the people who have lived in the mansion before. It turns out that the mansion is full to the brim with dark secrets. A curse befalls everyone who lives in the mansion. My favorite thing by far in Fata Morgana is the amazing story and writing. The mysterious elements coupled with unexpected events makes for a great experience, which I really like, because even though there are tons of text, the dialogue keeps me heavily invested and has me quite literally on the edge of my seat. The characters so far, apart from the white-haired girl, have been below average in likability, but I'm sure they'll only get better later on. Fata Morgana also has a wonderful soundtrack and some really great art. The soundtrack definitely enhances the experiences. All of the songs fit the atmosphere of that said scene, whether it being a joyful moment with a happy adventure song in the background, or a tragic event coupled with a sad grim song that keeps at you. Fata Morgana so far has truly been an amazing experience with an unreal start that was both tragic and exciting at the same time. It beats Danganronpa just by a small margin for the title of my favorite visual novel because of its outright brilliant story and writing, amazing soundtrack and sound design, and finally the great mystery elements that keep you heavily invested in the game. Now, that begs the question, why should you try out visual novels? I honestly say you should try them out to experience something new. Try something different from the usual anime and manga and or competitive video games. They may take a great amount of time to complete, but most of the time the story is just too good as to not stop playing. The art style and soundtracks are also really good, which I believe is reason enough to try them out. Visual novels may not be as appealing or exciting as other mediums, but I do genuinely think that you should at least play one of them in your life. There are also a great amount of ecchi visual novels that go the entire way, unlike anime, so I do think that that's another reason to try them out. So, if you are looking for something new to try and something you can take your time with, I believe you should check out the medium of visual novels. That, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of the video. I very much hope you enjoyed, and if you did, a like on the video and a comment on what you thought of it goes a long way in helping the channel out. If you are new here and like my content, I highly suggest you consider subscribing, but since you're already watching so far ahead into this video, you probably do like these kinds of videos now, don't you? It really does help me out if you hit that subscribe button, as it does brighten up my day and keep me motivated to pursue my dream of making anime videos for a living. Please, I don't want to go to college and work a 9-to-5 job. This is going to be me signing off. Stay safe and remember to leap into space. I'm out. Peace!